from Hey Janee podcast. It's great to be here. Great to talk to you all today. So
Nice
my
to talk to
podcast
you.
is it's all about being a creative and navigating life mindfully because we all face challenges in life, and for me, it's all about how you address those challenges. Obviously, Nicole, so brave of you, what you've experienced, and for you to come out of it, telling this important story, and also just the advocacy work that we see that you've become over the years. I did want to start by asking you, what made you trust your story with Manny Haley, and even just the framing of the story. I think a lot of people might have anticipated a Sean Bell story, and I love that this is actually the story of Nicole Bell.
Yeah. And thank you, Janae. Thank you for that question. That's actually a great question. I met Manny back in 2017. And for me, this was more about having the freedom to be able to tell the story and having the control and being able to really give it the truth that it deserves. This story is so important. If you are familiar with it, you know just how important and how impactful it was to so many people and how so many lives were affected. So I could not get involved with any producer that would not allow the true story to be told. And that means details, and that means we're gonna visit true historical records. We're gonna go and find that, and we're gonna put it into the story. That was important to me. It has to be authentic.
Yeah,
Since 2006, I've been Nicole, and that's all I can do is be me. And this project is just an extension of that. It's a woman's story. It's a story of a tragedy from a woman's perspective. A young
yeah,
mother. I was 22 years old when I lost Sean. He was only 23. We had two beautiful daughters. This story shows what happens to families when their loved one is taken away. And so often people are, on the headline. We're focused on the headlines, but what's behind the headlines? What happens to everyone when the cameras go away? That's what
yeah.
Aftershock is. And it shows you the layers and the levels of injustice that took place. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of the project. My daughters are proud of the project. This is my story, is every woman's story. Any person who's ever lost a loved one, that's what this story is about. And Sean was a big part of it.
Definitely. I wanted to ask Raven and Richard, this film, it takes place in a certain place, a very specific place and time. For me as a viewer, the music helped a lot. The wardrobe helped a lot in seeing and putting myself back in New York and, in Queens, and remembering even watching you, Nicole. So, but I did want to ask for the actors. How did you put yourself back into that time? What helped you like kind of really get into character as Reverend Al Sharpton and also as Nicole?
So for me, as far as getting back into the time, I had a playlist for everything, like every single like emotion, every phase that we did show of Nicole throughout the entire film. I had a playlist for it, and a lot of the songs were from back in that time. I also had like boards that I broke down like to where it broke down like young love from what I seen, like what I witnessed from back then, and like just like the aesthetic of it all, down to feelings, down to actual days of like the court days. And I was really specific, and I tried to break everything down as much as possible. And I think when you combine all those things together, then like you get that final piece.
Yeah.
And then it was like after doing that, then we have Nicole. Nicole had given us her input, and Nicole like telling me exactly how she was feeling and what she felt, and how times we back then. I remember she would tell me the vocabulary, the language they would use back there, like back then, to where it made sense to me. So I think all those things together just helped me in that space.
That's great.
Yeah. Um, it's I've been through several decades and seasons of time, and and there are certain things that place you specifically in a period of time, and music has a way of doing that. Interesting that she has a playlist, you know, but
Yeah.
in terms of Al's relationship with James Brown and where he was through his seasons in terms of a
Yeah.
kid and then being a little bit older and then gaining a sense of the fact that in order to stay on this planet, he had to change certain things in himself. But music was a great influence, especially in terms of me absorbing Al in the way that he spoke and how he carried himself and the rhythm in which he moved was
Hmm.
very musically based. And so, you know, in terms of going back through YouTube and specifically looking at this man with a very specific, you know, framework, and everything about him was very, very clear. There was no, I didn't have to guess it very much because
Yeah.
there was evidence. And
You
so it
have
was like,
plenty of
wow,
evidence to work
yeah,
with.
yeah. So it wasn't, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it was sort of like the table was set with a lot of options.
I love that. Nicole, this is my last question, going to be my last question. I only have about a minute left, but I did want to ask you in the project, they were showing that your family and friends were encouraging you to get therapy and you were rejecting that. Did you ever get therapy? And then even just in doing this project, how did that affect you? You know, I know it had to be difficult. So how did you cope while you were in production?
Absolutely. Initially, I at 22 when it first happened, I tried to do therapy for my daughter. Um, it was I wasn't ready mentally at that time. It was too much to sit there and talk about it every day. So I went and got active, and that was my way of getting therapy. But
Mhm.
you know what happens with grief when you don't deal with it, it will revisit you. Grief's not linear. You know, there's no
Yeah.
specific order in which grief happens, and I've learned that. And now at my age, almost 20 years later, I've learned so much. Watching the film, telling my story is one thing, watching it replayed is another. And it was extremely difficult initially to watch, even though I had been a part of the process. It took me maybe 3 attempts before I could fully watch it in one sitting.
Yeah.
And right now, I'd say this project has been therapeutic. I have gone into therapy. I'm actively seeing a therapist right now, currently. It feels, you know, there are days when I have my ups, there are days when I have my downs, and I think that's an important component that people need to understand when you go through something. Get the help, get the, you know, the resources that you need. There's always support there. It's there. Don't be afraid to reach out and speak to someone, and do it in a way that works for you. And for me,
Mhm.
right, doing it right away in therapy, it didn't, it just, I couldn't stand the pain of thinking about it every day. And it made me feel a little bit better by going outside and being with the people who were chanting Sean's name and raising awareness for other families who had lost their loved ones. That was my therapy. And that was my way of giving back and keeping Sean's name alive. But I do recommend it now. It feels great, you know, to be a part of it. But I had to raise my daughters. I had to take that time to mourn. I had to take that time to heal. And now is the perfect time to do it personally and also in our society.
In our
It's
culture,
now's
yeah,
the
in our
time.
community, for sure. No, it's been amazing talking to all of you. I wish I had more time, but you know, best of luck with this project. I'm going to be shouting it from the rooftops for everyone to watch. Thanks again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.